The idea of karma and reaping what you sow is really not too different when you look at the fundamentals of what they really mean. And what I don't think is going to be indicative toward a prosperous future is for people to not recognize their own hellishness that they've created. And it is our hellishness that we've created. This is why sometimes you might wonder why there are certain patterns and situations that are reoccurring and that are seemingly becoming a roadblock for you on your pathway to whatever it is you're trying to do. And it almost feels like, even though waiting isn't really a plan, you kind of just have to wait for things to work out, because that's the karma, right? That's part of the thing of what you're trying to have come into fruition, is being patient with it. And what I've seen in romantic relationships, among women specifically, recently, is that they are beginning to realize that the hell that they put men through is now creating their own hell, which is their karma. And they have been so spiritually deprived for so long that now they are experiencing the consequences, and they are going to do everything they can to try to bend the fabric of reality to their will. And it's not going to work, because you can't bend the fabric of reality to your will. The fabric of reality is that you are not really existing in a quote-unquote real world. Okay, we are existing in a simulated world. And the reason that is for example, we can't really see if anything actually happens until it happens and we can observe it. There's the whole question of, well, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? Well, what I would ask you is, if a tree falls in the forest, do you really know it fell? And it's kind of like a woman, right? It's if a woman hits a wall, you don't really know a woman hits a wall until she hits the wall. And the women don't really believe that there's a wall, so to speak, until there's a wall that they hit. And this usually comes around the time of they're 27 to 30 years old, which I think that has a interesting correlation, not necessarily a causation, because I don't believe in causes. I don't think that this universe is based on cause, because time is non-linear, and if time is non-linear, then that means that there are pasts that do not necessarily need to influence your future unless you believe that they do. So women hit the wall roughly because of the Saturn return, astrologically speaking. And they hit the wall because they've realized all of the crap that they've put men through for the past goodness knows how long. And the soul of existence is now, God, whatever you want to call it, is now revealing to them that they have to go through these consequences, maybe a little bit more so than they would like to think. Because the way that reaping what you sow and karma works is that what you put out into the world is going to come back to you eventually. Right? Now, I'm not saying that we should believe in lifetimes or, past lives or anything like that per se. Because I think if you want to, depending on how you look at past lives, 10 minutes ago could be a past life for all you know. 2 months ago, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Maybe if time is non-linear, your future self is going to be a past life, and your future self is trying to speak to you into this moment. But women think that they can get away with their behaviors because they think that time is something linear that they can manipulate the image of. And the thing is that you can't quite do that, can you? You can't really manipulate the image of time. The image of time is going to be something that is always going to be there, whether we want it to be or not. And that is what it means really to understand the orientation of your place in timelessness. And so women, by treating all these good men, like I've seen a lot of women reject good men because they feel like they deserve something better. And in reality, they don't really have much to offer. Now, I also don't really like that the relationships in our day and age have become so transactional. But all relationships are transactional to some degree, except your relationship to the soul of existence. And even then, the soul of existence loves you and wants you to be doing your best all the time, and is not going to be doing anything necessarily for you, but it will help you along the way. Because that truly is the place of love, right? That truly is that timeless essence of love, is wanting the absolute, truest of the true for someone, and yet also recognizing that to do it for them would be to rob them of their own destiny. And so that's one thing that I've taken in my approach to my one-on-one sessions, my Godlike Mastery, as well as the Regal Change Academy recently, is that I want the best for these people. I want the best for everybody, but I'm not going to do it for them anymore, because I didn't even realize I was really doing it for them by trying to hold their hand along the path. And the thing is that I can't do that. I can't do that. I didn't really do that so much with the Godlike Mastery, because the people in the Godlike Mastery knew what they were getting into for sure. Because out of all of these services that I do have, that's definitely the creme de la creme of all the services, because it's such a hyper customized experience and transformation experience as well. It's just so personal and yet not really personal simultaneously. But that's kind of the whole essence of this whole experience, right? But the problem is that when it comes to women, they think that their emotions are what dictates the fabric of reality and the time of the fabric inside that reality. But the thing is that just because something is truthful inside that reality doesn't make the reality itself true. So women, for example, are very delusional. I'm going to wait for this guy to... Now, as I was saying, women are very delusional in the sense that they think that their delusions are true. Their delusions are a reality, and it's a reality that their delusions feel real to them, but it doesn't make them true. So women are experiencing this very unsophisticated way of experiencing life, and yet they're very smart about how they go about this. For example, I've seen married women take off their ring just to talk to either myself or other people that I've seen, other men that I've seen around my area. There's not very many women that will do this so blatantly, but they will do it. And I've seen this happen myself. I've had women who are married with families lie to me about their being single. They've told me they've been single for however many months or celibate. Meanwhile, they have a family at home. So this is a demonstration of a woman's lust not being fulfilled. Her shadow has not been fully integrated. Her animus has not been fully integrated. Because if you think about it, it's very nice to have a beta male around, right? Because the beta male he'll just do whatever you want him to, basically, right? But when you have alphas around you, when you have people that are disagreeable and industrious and conscientious, well, that usually is going to cause some issues. And when you have someone like a beta who is usually more low in conscientiousness, high in agreeableness, and high in neuroticism, well, then he's going to do whatever you want him to. Women like these types of men because they can manipulate the image of time of their own linear experience, of their perceived linear experience, to that beta male, who then takes on that woman, that seductress whore that, well, I'm just going to call her what she is, right? Because only those seductress whores do that type of thing. Because they're selling themselves, right? They're selling themselves. They're offering their bodies for security. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I'm not saying that they're evil for this. I'm saying that they are participating in a way of life and a way of living in which they're just surviving just as much as anybody else, right? And you'll get to this point along your path where you start to just see the women are behaving this way because, well, they're just trying to survive. They're just trying to survive just as much as anybody else in the world. They just haven't integrated enough of their psychic wholeness to truly understand what that means. So, man, that's good. This is a vanilla bean tobacco, and it tastes like a mix of ice cream and tree bark. Ironically, it's kind of sweet. You know, it's a little bit sweeter than you'd think, but it has that nice subtle tobacco taste where, man, you know, I kind of enjoy the tobacco flavor while I'm smoking. While I'm smoking the actual tobacco, I really enjoy the flavor. But man, sometimes afterward, I don't really know if I like the flavor of the aftertaste. But I do enjoy the flavor while I'm partaking in it. Because that's really, you know, what it's all about, at least in my opinion, it's the event itself, and then the contemplation, as well as, you know, I like the fact that you kind of have to, you know, prepare it. You have to take care of it as you're participating in the act, and it gets you moving, and it gets you contemplative, and yeah, I just enjoy this type of thing, especially talking about these types of topics where on the surface level it's very basic, but at the same time I like to think of myself more as a philosophical artist. And I do think that it's the role of the artist to really portray and cast a image of what not only he himself or she herself is trying to express through themselves, but also maybe what the audience needs, right? And I'm constantly taking in data points from different perspectives, especially on topics like this, because you'll see a lot of the people acting very strange about and projecting their shadow onto the women, especially the males. I mean, well, I guess in a way, in that case, men projecting their anima onto the women, because the anima is something that you relate to inwardly. It's the totality of feminine experiences inside a male psyche, whereas the animus is the totality of masculine experiences inside a female psyche. And this is one of the reasons why the letter people get so confused, is because they believe that their reality is true. But again, it's just a belief in the reality. It's not the truth of the matter. And we need this truth of the matter. It's like when you're meditating, for example, when you inhale and exhale, the inhale is feminine, the exhale is masculine, because there's a force behind it. There's a light force in the exhale, just as much as there's a receiving of the inhale. This whole existence is based on polarities. And we need polarities in order to have a union to alchemize our understanding. And people don't want to get into this type of stuff on the red pill content or the just generally speaking, I suppose. But the hope here is to paint a philosophical artistry image through my words that describe how the scenarios of what we're going through on a day-to-day are actually more poetic and yet more grounded and practical than maybe we'd like to think. And the truth of the matter is that women believe that they're not going to be having consequences for these types of things that they're doing and the types of behaviors they're exhibiting. And don't get me wrong, the feminine force, the female goddess, let's say, the archetype of the female goddess, is perhaps one of the most strongest of all the archetypes because it's pure raw power, but it's very unmanageable. It's very unmanageable. That's why, if you think about it in regard to the Kundalini terms, in Kundalini, in studying the Kundalini Shakti, which is the feminine energy, starts at the root and rises to the top to meet Shiva, which is the male version of consciousness. The consciousness, the male force, gives shape to the feminine essence. That's the idea, right? And I'm not saying I believe this. I'm not saying I don't believe it. I'm just saying that that's, because I don't believe anything. But I'm just saying that that's what it is, right? That's how it's perceived. Well, there's a reason for that, because the female raw energy is the most powerful. But if you can't manage it, it's just, it's going to destroy itself because there's nothing to take shape. It would just be pure abstractness without any true shape. But you need that polarity. And the whole purpose of the male, per se, the Shiva, in that situation, that metaphor example, is that we as men must be the leaders to give shape toward the feminine essence. Like, think about the Bible, right? When the Bible says to love your husband, or submit to your husband, wives submit to your husband, and husbands love your wives. Well, what exactly does that mean? Well, depending on how you perceive that, it's that women, it's not about submitting in regard to like, oh, do what I tell you, woman. It's not necessarily about that. It's more like, allow yourself to be at ease in the male's frame of shaping your energy. That's a good way to think about it. And too many women think that submit means to just do what your husband says no matter what. It's like, okay, well, that's, some men are not really capable leaders. And I'm not saying that women shouldn't be capable of discernment there, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I don't think that, I don't think many people have truly thought through these things. And I know that, and I say that because I didn't think through them quite to the degree in which I thought I did originally up until the last few months. And now that I'm having this new perspective of life and my new perspective of the soul of existence of God himself, I'm seeing the relationship dynamics and the reason for the relationship problems in our society are really because it's not really a God-shaped hole. It's really more of a lack of trust. It's really a lack of trust. Like, everybody's got trust issues. And I understand the reason behind that, because many people have betrayed a lot of other people, and that's why it's so transactional nowadays. But the thing is like, I don't know if we can go back, at least in this next generation or so. I don't think we can go back. I don't know if it's ever going to go back. And so that's why I think sometimes the best thing to do is to forget about relationships and forget about, like Charles Bukowski says, forget about the day and just sleep the day away. Who cares? I'm not saying that as in like I'm black pilled or I'm not like angry or anything. I'm just like, who cares anymore? Who really cares about wanting to be in a relationship? I'm not saying that I don't. I'm not saying that I wouldn't like that, because I do want a woman. I do want to have a family. I'd love to. But who cares enough to want to reciprocate that trust? I don't know. I really don't. And, that's just kind of where we're at, I suppose. And I think that lack of trust is something that is part of the integration of your anima and your shadow. Is you have to learn to trust and control that monster and that projection tendency inside you. But a lot of us don't want to admit that we have those things, because to admit that would be to admit that we are maybe not supposed to, or maybe not eligible to romanticize our consciousness as human beings as much as we'd like to think. But I'm just a guy enjoying the day. And I'm just a guy enjoying the day on a screen. So at this point, do what you want, man. Do what you want. I'm not saying that you should go out and make a bunch of hoes, but if women don't want to recognize that they have a part to play in this just as much as the men do, and the men don't really know how to lead, well, maybe there's nothing better to do than to just sit in the sun and smoke a little tobacco and just chill out. Just chill out, man. Enjoy lunchtime. Enjoy the break. And then get back to doing whatever it is you need to do, because at the end of the day, the meaning of life is what you make it. As long as you love yourself, you're going to make the meaning of life. So, with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful for you. I hope everybody stays blessed out there. Join the RCA. We have a free 7-day trial for you that I've optimized so you can get a taste of what it's like to be in the academy. Or if you want to jump into more deeper territory, because I understand that what people really pay for is depth and structure. So if you want to go into the more depth and structure type of stuff, set up a one-on-one or the Godlike Mastery offer with me, and we'll get to talking. And fill out an application below. That's going to be the most important thing. Other than that, I hope everybody stays blessed. Peace be with you all, and until next time.